On the cold night of December 20, 1968, in a secluded lover's lane on Lake Herman Road, Vallejo, California, the peace was shattered. 18-year-old David Faraday and 16-year-old Betty Lou Jensen were on their first date. They had parked their car, seemingly enjoying the quiet, when an unknown assailant approached. The assailant fired shots into their vehicle, marking the beginning of a terrifying saga. This brutal act, reported by the Vallejo Police Department, would later be recognized as the Zodiac Killer's first confirmed attack, initiating a campaign of terror that would grip Northern California. Law enforcement, specifically the Vallejo Police Department, arrived to a horrific scene. David Faraday was found dead beside the car, while Betty Lou Jensen's body was discovered approximately 28 feet away, a victim of multiple gunshots. According to initial reports, the couple had been forced out of the vehicle and shot. This double homicide, though tragic, was initially treated as a local crime. No witnesses came forward, and despite a thorough investigation, the perpetrator remained unknown, leaving authorities with few leads in the immediate aftermath. 7 months later, on July 4, 1969, another attack occurred, just 4 miles from the first. Darlene Ferrin, 22, and Michael Mago, 19, were parked at the Blue Rock Springs golf course in Vallejo. A car pulled up behind them, its driver exiting and approaching their vehicle. Without warning, the assailant opened fire. Michael Mago, despite being shot, miraculously survived the attack, but Darlene Ferrin tragically succumbed to her injuries. Mago's survival provided crucial, albeit limited, eyewitness testimony that would later prove vital in connecting this attack to the previous one and defining the killer's modus operandi. Michael Mago's statement to investigators from the Vallejo Police Department offered the first description of the killer. He described a heavy-set white male, approximately 26 to 30 years old, about 5 feet 8 inches tall, with light brown hair. Mago recounted how the assailant shone a flashlight into their car before firing multiple shots. This detailed, if traumatized, account was critical. It not only provided a physical description but also established a pattern: young couples in parked cars, targeted in secluded areas. This was the first time law enforcement had a potential profile, moving the case from isolated incidents to a possible serial offender. Just 40 minutes after the Blue Rock Springs attack, a chilling phone call was made to the Vallejo Police Department. The anonymous male caller confessed to both the Ferrin-Mago shooting and the Faraday-Jensen murders from December. The call, received by Officer Nancy Slover, identified specific details only the killer would know. This call was a profound shift in the investigation. It confirmed the connection between the two incidents and, crucially, revealed a perpetrator who was not only violent but also audacious, seeking to communicate directly with law enforcement and asserting responsibility for his horrific acts. On July 31, 1969, 3 handwritten letters arrived at 3 Bay Area newspapers: the Vallejo Times-Herald, the San Francisco Chronicle, and the San Francisco Examiner. Each letter contained detailed knowledge of the recent crimes, cementing their authenticity. The author demanded these letters be published on the front page, threatening further violence if his demands were not met. These communications were signed with a distinctive cross-circle symbol, a symbol that would become synonymous with terror. It was in these letters that the killer first referred to himself by the name that would forever mark his dark legacy, the Zodiac. Accompanying each letter was 1/3 of a 408-character cipher, a complex puzzle composed of symbols and letters. The killer claimed this cipher, once decoded, would reveal his identity. This was an unprecedented challenge to law enforcement and the public, transforming the investigation into a race against time and intellect. The San Francisco Chronicle published its portion of the cipher, sparking widespread public fascination and fear. The taunting nature of these ciphers suggested a killer who relished attention, viewing his crimes not just as acts of violence but as an elaborate, twisted game. Within days of their publication, the 408-character cipher was cracked. The message was deciphered by Donald and Betty Harden, a Salinas couple, proving that the killer's puzzles, while challenging, were not impenetrable. The decoded message was a rambling confession, filled with grammatical errors and sinister boasts. It stated, "I like killing people because it is so much fun. It is more fun than killing wild game in the forest because man is the most dangerous animal of all to kill." The cipher, however, did not reveal the killer's name, only his chilling motivation, the desire to collect slaves for the afterlife. The decoded 408-character cipher explicitly stated the killer's morbid belief, "I am collecting slaves for my afterlife." This disturbing revelation offered a glimpse into the killer's psyche, suggesting a delusion of grandeur and a deeply perverse justification for his crimes. This detail, reported extensively by the San Francisco Chronicle, underscored the unique and disturbing nature of the Zodiac's motive. It was not mere revenge or robbery, but a calculated, ritualistic act driven by a twisted vision of the afterlife, further deepening the public's horror and the investigators' bewilderment. On September 27, 1969, the Zodiac struck again, this time at Lake Berryessa in Napa County. Brian Hartnell, 20, and Cecilia Shepard, 22, were enjoying a picnic when a man wearing a black executioner-style hood with clip-on sunglasses approached them. The assailant tied them up before repeatedly stabbing them with a knife. This attack, carried out in broad daylight, was notably different in its method from the previous shootings. It showcased a chilling escalation in the killer's brutality and a willingness to operate in a more exposed location, further intensifying the terror gripping Northern California. Brian Hartnell, though severely wounded, survived the Lake Berryessa attack, providing a harrowing account to the Napa County Sheriff's Office. He described the attacker's unusual costume, the black hood with cutouts for eyes, clip-on sunglasses, and a bib-like piece on the chest bearing the Zodiac's cross-circle symbol. The killer spoke in a calm, deliberate voice, explaining his intent to rob them and then killing them, adding a chilling theatricality to his violence. This detailed description not only provided a physical composite but also revealed the killer's apparent need for performance and control, escalating his public persona. After the stabbings, the Zodiac Killer used a black felt-tip pen to write a message on the door of Hartnell's Carmen Gia. The message, meticulously documented by the Napa County Sheriff's Office, detailed the dates of his previous attacks: Vallejo the 20th of December, 68 the 7th of April, 69 September 27th, 69, 6:30 by knife. Below this, he again signed his distinctive cross-circle symbol. This act was a clear confession, intended for law enforcement to find, further cementing the link between all the incidents and displaying the killer's arrogance and desire for recognition. It left no doubt that a single, terrifying individual was responsible for the escalating violence. Cecilia Shepard tragically died 2 days after the Lake Berryessa attack, succumbing to her wounds. Her death marked another victim in the Zodiac's growing count, while Brian Hartnell's survival continued to offer a direct, chilling link to the killer's methods and appearance. The Napa County Sheriff's Office intensified its hunt, now facing a killer who was not only evolving his attack methods but also brazenly claiming responsibility. The brutality of the Lake Berryessa attack sent shivers through the Bay Area, underscoring the escalating danger posed by the enigmatic Zodiac. Just 2 weeks later, on October 11, 1969, the Zodiac made his presence felt in the heart of San Francisco. Taxi driver Paul Stein, 29, was shot and killed in his cab in the wealthy Presidio Heights neighborhood. This attack differed significantly from the previous rural, isolated incidents. The San Francisco Police Department found Stein slumped over the wheel, shot in the head. The killer not only murdered Stein but also reportedly took a piece of his shirt and his wallet, an unusual move suggesting trophies or further communication attempts. The sudden shift to an urban setting escalated public fear, proving the Zodiac could strike anywhere. Crucially, the Paul Stein murder in San Francisco yielded eyewitness accounts. 3 teenagers observed a man wiping down the taxi's interior and then walking away from the scene. They initially believed he was a police officer. When the true nature of the crime became clear, their detailed descriptions to the San Francisco Police Department indicated a white male, approximately 35 to 45 years old, with a stocky build and reddish-brown hair. These accounts led to a composite sketch being widely circulated, offering the most concrete visual lead in the case, contrasting with Mageau's earlier description and adding to the complexity of the investigation. 2 days after Paul Stein's murder, a letter arrived at the San Francisco Chronicle, explicitly claiming responsibility for the killing. The letter included a piece of Paul Stein's bloodstained shirt, tangible proof that the author was indeed the killer. This grisly trophy, as it was often referred to by investigators, was a calculated and chilling escalation of the Zodiac's taunts. It directly challenged law enforcement, demonstrating the killer's intimate knowledge of the crime and his audacity, while further terrifying a public that now knew the killer possessed souvenirs of his victims. The taunting continued. On October 22, 1969, a person claiming to be the Zodiac called the Oakland Police Department. The caller, identified as Zodiac, demanded that either attorney Melvin Belli or prominent lawyer F. Lee Bailey appear on a television talk show hosted by Jim Dunbar. This call was broadcast live, adding to the public spectacle and showcasing the killer's desire for media attention. While the call's authenticity was debated by some, the demand itself demonstrated the Zodiac's growing control over the narrative, turning the hunt into a public performance orchestrated by him. On December 20, 1969, exactly 1 year after the Lake Herman Road murders, a letter arrived at the home of prominent San Francisco attorney Melvin Belli. The author, claiming to be the Zodiac, expressed frustration that Belli had not appeared on the Jim Dunbar show. This letter, confirmed by handwriting experts to be consistent with previous Zodiac communications, contained a desperate plea for help, ending with "I cannot go to the Paradise Slazes now, so I want you to help me." This communication hinted at a complex, possibly disturbed individual rather than a purely rational killer. In November 1969, another cipher, containing 340 characters, was sent to the San Francisco Chronicle. Unlike the quickly solved 408 cipher, the Z340 proved far more complex, resisting all attempts at decryption for decades. This cipher became an enduring symbol of the Zodiac's challenge to law enforcement and codebreakers. Its inscrutability fueled public fascination and frustration, solidifying the Zodiac's image as an intellectual adversary. This unsolved puzzle, meticulously examined by the FBI and amateur enthusiasts, ensured the Zodiac's mystery would persist for generations. After a flurry of activity in 1969 and early 1970, the Zodiac's direct communications gradually dwindled. Sporadic letters continued through 1971 and into 1974, but without the same frequency or impact. The last confirmed Zodiac letter, received by the San Francisco Chronicle, was dated January 29, 1974. In it, the author praised the film The Exorcist and gave a new score, EMI 37, SFPD 0. This final message left investigators from the San Francisco Police Department, Vallejo Police, and Napa County Sheriff's Office with a profound sense of incompleteness, as the killer simply seemed to vanish, leaving behind a trail of terror and unanswered questions. While the Zodiac claimed responsibility for 37 murders in his final confirmed letter, law enforcement officially attributed 5 murders and 2 attempted murders to him. The discrepancy between the killer's claims and official counts remains a point of contention and discussion among investigators and true crime enthusiasts. It raises questions about the killer's veracity, his psychological state, and whether he committed other unconfirmed crimes. This ambiguity underscores the difficulty in defining the full scope of the Zodiac's rampage and the persistent challenge of separating fact from the killer's self-aggrandizing fiction. Despite intensive efforts from multiple law enforcement agencies, including the Vallejo Police Department, San Francisco Police Department, Napa County Sheriff's Office, and the FBI, the Zodiac Killer case eventually went cold. The lack of new leads, combined with the killer's cessation of communications, led to a prolonged period of inactivity. Investigators meticulously catalogued evidence, interviewed countless suspects, and pursued every possible angle, but the killer's identity remained elusive. The case's transition to cold status left a void in the community and a deep frustration among those dedicated to finding answers. Over the decades, numerous individuals have been named as suspects in the Zodiac Killer case, both by law enforcement and independent researchers. Figures such as Arthur Lee Allen, Rick Marshall, Lawrence Kane, and others have been extensively scrutinized. Each suspect has presented compelling, yet ultimately inconclusive, evidence linking them to the crimes or the letters. The ongoing public fascination has led to a cottage industry of theories, books, and documentaries, each attempting to solve the mystery. This persistent speculation highlights the deep public desire for closure in one of America's most enduring true crime enigmas. Arthur Lee Allen emerged as the most prominent suspect. A Vallejo resident, he was investigated extensively by both the Vallejo Police Department and the FBI. Similarities between Allen's characteristics and the witness descriptions, particularly Mago's, were noted. He owned a Zodiac brand watch, wore a similar shoe size, and had a history of suspicious behavior. However, despite intense scrutiny, handwriting samples, fingerprint comparisons, and DNA evidence, Allen was never definitively linked to the Zodiac crimes. He denied involvement until his death in 1992, and the evidence against him remained circumstantial, leaving room for doubt among investigators. In the modern era, law enforcement has revisited the Zodiac case using advancements in forensic science, particularly DNA analysis. Investigators have attempted to extract DNA from stamps and envelopes of the Zodiac letters, meticulously preserved as evidence. While some DNA has been recovered, it has been degraded or insufficient for a conclusive match to any suspect, including Arthur Lee Allen. This ongoing effort by the San Francisco Police Department and others represents the enduring hope that new technology might finally identify the killer, providing answers that have eluded generations of detectives. For 51 years, the Zodiac's 340-character cipher remained unbroken. Then, in December 2020, a team of amateur code breakers, David Aranchak, Sam Blake, and Jarl Van Eyck, announced they had finally solved it. Their solution was verified by the FBI. The decoded message was another rambling, unrepentant taunt, reading in part, "I hope you are having lots of fun in trying to catch me. I am not afraid of the gas chamber because it will send me to paradise all the sooner because I now have enough slaves to work for me." This breakthrough reignited public interest and offered fresh, albeit chilling, insight into the killer's mind. While the solution to the 340 cipher provided a psychological window into the Zodiac's twisted worldview, it did not reveal his identity. The message concluded without a name or any direct clues that would lead to his capture. This outcome, though anticipated by some investigators, was a disappointment for those hoping for a definitive breakthrough. The cipher solution, verified by the FBI, confirmed the killer's deep-seated psychopathy and his belief in an afterlife where he would command his slaves, further solidifying his image as a uniquely disturbing figure in criminal history. Today, the Zodiac Killer case remains officially open in multiple jurisdictions, including the San Francisco Police Department, the Vallejo Police Department, and the Napa County Sheriff's Office. Although decades have passed, law enforcement agencies maintain cold case units that periodically review the evidence with fresh eyes and new technologies. The case serves as a somber reminder of a killer who evaded capture, leaving a lasting scar on the communities he terrorized and a challenging legacy for forensic investigation. The pursuit of justice for his victims continues, even as the trail grows colder. The Zodiac Killer's brazen letters, cryptic ciphers, and elusive nature quickly captured the public imagination, transforming him into a true crime icon. His story has been chronicled in numerous books, films, and documentaries, shaping the popular perception of serial killers. The San Francisco Chronicle played a central role in amplifying his messages, inadvertently granting him the platform he sought. This media attention, while crucial for information dissemination, also contributed to the mythologizing of the Zodiac, ensuring his name would persist in the collective consciousness long after his reign of terror ended. For the families of David Faraday, Betty Lou Jensen, Darlene Ferrin, Cecilia Shepard, and Paul Stein, the Zodiac Killer's enduring mystery has meant decades of unresolved grief and unanswered questions. The lack of closure has profoundly affected their lives, a sentiment often expressed in interviews over the years. their struggle for justice continues to underscore the human cost of the Zodiac's crimes, reminding the public that behind the sensational headlines and cryptographic puzzles are real lives tragically cut short and families forever altered by senseless violence. Their pain remains a powerful testament to the need for answers. The Zodiac Killer case represents a profound challenge to law enforcement. It highlights the difficulties faced when a perpetrator is meticulous, manipulative, and seemingly vanishes without a trace. The San Francisco Police Department, Vallejo Police, and Napa County Sheriff's Office each invested immense resources, often without coordination in the early stages, in a relentless pursuit. This case laid bare the limitations of forensic technology and interagency cooperation in the 1960s and 70s, serving as a catalyst for later improvements in criminal investigation techniques and cold case management across the United States. The Zodiac Killer case remains one of America's most enduring and perplexing unsolved mysteries. His identity continues to be debated, his motives dissected, and his crimes analyzed by generations of investigators and enthusiasts. The combination of his taunting letters, the unsolved ciphers, and his sudden disappearance has woven a narrative that transcends mere criminality. It is a story of a phantom figure who defied capture, leaving behind a legacy of fear and a chilling testament to the capacity for human evil. The Zodiac's shadow continues to loom large over the Bay Area and the annals of true crime. The Zodiac Killer instilled a profound and widespread fear across Northern California. His choice of seemingly random victims and his ability to evade capture created a pervasive sense of vulnerability, especially among young couples. The constant threat of new letters or attacks kept the public on edge, with every cryptic communication generating new waves of panic. This psychological impact, as documented by newspaper archives from the era, was a deliberate tactic of the Zodiac. He controlled not just the narrative of his crimes, but also the emotional landscape of an entire region, leaving a legacy of deep-seated unease. The Zodiac's use of ciphers was a unique element that set him apart from other serial killers. It wasn't just about the murders, it was about the game, the intellectual challenge he presented to society. The Z for 08 was quickly solved, revealing his slaver motive. But the Z340, for over half a century, symbolized the ultimate defiance, a puzzle that mocked intelligence. This aspect of the case turned ordinary citizens into amateur detectives and cryptographers, proving that the killer engaged the public on an intellectual level as much as an emotional one, further cementing his place in criminal law. While local agencies took the lead, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, eventually became involved in the Zodiac Killer case, providing resources and expertise in cryptography and criminal profiling. The FBI's participation underscored the national significance and complexity of the investigation. Their persistent efforts, particularly in analyzing the ciphers and maintaining a comprehensive case file, ensured that the case received the highest level of federal attention. Despite their formidable capabilities, even the FBI could not unravel the killer's identity, highlighting the extraordinary cunning and elusiveness of the Zodiac. Investigators have constantly grappled with the similarities and discrepancies in witness descriptions of the Zodiac. Michael Mago described a heavy-set man, 26 to 30 years old. The Presidio Heights teenagers described a stockier man, 35 to 45, with reddish-brown hair. These variations have led to theories of multiple perpetrators, or simply unreliable witness recall under stress. Law enforcement, as documented in various police reports, had to reconcile these differing accounts while building a profile. This challenge underscores the difficulty in relying solely on eyewitness testimony, especially when dealing with a perpetrator who may have altered his appearance or been observed under poor conditions. The Zodiac Killer case was unique in its heavy reliance on public participation. The killer's demands for newspaper publication of his letters and ciphers turned the public into an extension of the investigation. Citizens actively tried to solve the ciphers, and every new letter prompted tips to the San Francisco Chronicle and law enforcement agencies. This dynamic, while generating leads, also led to false confessions and red herrings, complicating the already intricate case. The public's engagement was a double-edged sword, illustrating the complexities of managing a high-profile case with widespread media involvement. The Zodiac Killer earned his moniker as a phantom not just for his elusive identity but also for his ability to vanish. After each attack and letter, he would disappear, leaving no direct trail. His crimes spanned multiple counties, challenging interagency communication and jurisdiction in an era before advanced digital networks. This calculated evasion, combined with his shifting methods and urban-to-rural attack pattern, created a terrifying sense of omnipresence. The Zodiac became more than a man, he was an idea, a looming threat that could strike anywhere, anytime, perpetuating his legend. In the decades since the Zodiac's active period, significant advancements in forensic science and digital databases have emerged. These modern tools offer new hope for cold cases like the Zodiac's. Agencies are revisiting old evidence, such as the letters and envelopes, for touch DNA and utilizing genetic genealogy databases. While the challenges of degraded samples and limited original material remain, the ongoing efforts reflect a commitment to leveraging every available technology to bring closure. This blend of old evidence and new science represents the ongoing, determined pursuit of an answer. Based on his letters and actions, criminal profilers, including those from the FBI, have attempted to construct a psychological profile of the Zodiac Killer. He is often characterized as highly intelligent, manipulative, and suffering from a severe personality disorder, likely narcissistic or psychopathic. His need for control, attention, and his twisted fantasy of slaves for the afterlife point to a complex, disturbed individual. This profile, while not identifying him, provides a framework for understanding his unique brand of terror and underscores the profound mental aberrations that drove his violent campaign. Beyond the sensational headlines and the iconic cipher, the Zodiac Killer's story is a stark reminder of unchecked violence and the lasting trauma it inflicts. It's a testament to the dedication of generations of law enforcement officers who refuse to give up and to the resilience of communities haunted by fear. As we reflect on this chilling chapter in American history, the Zodiac remains a potent symbol of the dark mysteries that sometimes defy resolution, urging us to continue seeking truth and understanding in the face of the unknown. The unanswered questions persist, challenging us all. The case of the Zodiac Killer is not just a historical footnote, it is an active, ongoing investigation for various law enforcement agencies. The commitment to finding answers, even after decades, speaks to the profound impact of his crimes and the fundamental need for justice. While the killer may be gone, or simply living a quiet life, the evidence, however scant, remains. The story of the Zodiac Killer is a potent reminder that some mysteries, despite our best efforts, resist easy solutions, but the pursuit of truth must, and will, continue. The hope for closure endures.